Is the DSLR and mirrorless camera wave officially over? Welcome back to the channel, everyone. What is up? Welcome back. Pete here. What's up, y'all? Pete Gottschalk here, videographer for Major League Baseball. I hope y'all are having a great week. This is a video that I have been planning for a long time, and I just kind of wanted to discuss the current state of the industry, where mirrorless cameras are at, and comparing them and pitting them up against cinema cameras, because we have, as you guys know if you've watched his videos, kind of moved to cinema cameras fully at Major League Baseball since the latter half of last season. And today I am shooting Tampa Bay Rays versus the Boston Red Sox down here in Fort Myers, Florida for spring training. So I figured, what a better time, what a better event to discuss this topic. So as you can see, I am in my pretty messy hotel room in Fort Myers, Florida. But before we get into the wild, before we get out to the game, I wanted to kind of give you a lowdown of what I'll be using so you guys have an understanding of what we use at MLB. Right now, and what we've been using since, like I said, the latter half of last year, is the Canon C70. Came out last year or the year prior, I believe. Kind of a mirrorless cinema, kind of hybrid crossover. Got all the bells and whistles all you need. The lenses aren't really important for this video. You are watching this YouTube video on a Sony a7 III in 4K on a 17-28 f2.8. And I also have used a Canon C300 Mark II, I believe, for MLB. That is way more of a cinema camera than the C70. We'll get into everything in a bit and throughout this video. I just wanted to give you guys a understanding of what you're watching this YouTube video on versus what I'll be shooting the game in. I just want to say that in this video, everything is subjective. This is my opinion. What you would like to buy or purchase, or what you think is best, is gonna maybe differ from me. And everyone's situation is different. Some situations might be better to own a mirrorless camera. Some situations it's better to own a cinema camera. You know, some jobs are different. Freelancers are different on their preferences. Sports are different. It really doesn't matter. It's all up to you. I just want to preface this video with that. We are here, facility, stadium's over there. Just got to find a way in. This seems to be a lot of people here, more than the last time I was here. This is the Red Sox second spring training game, so there should be a good amount of media and team employees still here. I'm gonna try and not get burnt today, but no promises. We are here at JetBlue Park, which is a miniature of Fenway. I am so happy to be back out here. You have no idea. So this is where I'm shooting from. I hope you guys can hear me. Nesson, Northeastern Sports Network, is broadcasting this. Obviously this golf cart will not be here, but you got the field. This is a great field to shoot at. This is probably my favorite spring training facility, next to the Orioles, which the Orioles have a place in my heart. There's some Kesha playing, so I'm gonna try and be brief and avoid copyright. But this is probably my favorite camera ever. Like I said, it's the Canon C70 mixed between a cinema and a mirrorless. It's great for what we do, great for live content, got all the bells and whistles. To understand the mirrorless DSLR versus cinema debate and where the industry's at, we really need to look at the pros and cons of both. For the pros and cons of mirrorless and cinema cameras, I'm not going to go through them all, but I'm going to go through the ones most relevant to my own situation, which in turn, if you are in sports video or a similar field, it's probably most relevant to you as well. To start with the mirrorless pros, they're a lot smaller, and that is a benefit in a lot of situations. They're going to be easier to carry around, easier to fit in your pocket in some instances. They're going to be more discreet, and they're just easier to move around. They're going to weigh less, things like that for a lot of people. And in turn, they're also going to be quicker to set up. And if you're a big run and gun, on the go vlogger, capturing quick moments, that is definitely a benefit too. That's why I use them for my YouTube videos and when I'm vlogging with my friends as well. They are going to shoot to compact SD cards, which means smaller file sizes, and that is a benefit. It's going to take up a lot less space on your hard drive or your computer, wherever you store your files, and they're going to be a lot easier to work with in terms of speed in your editing software. They're usually cheaper, not always the case, but mirrorless cameras are going to be cheaper. And of course, they are easier to use. I recommend these as a good starting point for any beginner videographer or photographer. The learning curve is a lot less steep than it would be in a cinema camera. There's a lot less things you have to worry about. For the most part, it is just, you know, auto white balance, and then you can do aperture, auto ISO if you want, auto everything else. And the ability to take photos. Most mirrorless cameras allow you the ability to take video and photo, which in turn, I know a lot of you guys and girls are kind of one man, one woman shows, where you're taking videos and photos for whatever it be, your school, your team, things like that. So I know that's a benefit as well. Some cons of mirrorless cameras. A lot have overheating issues. Some don't have, you know, dual recording slots, which is important to some videographers. And you will have a lot less options when it comes to audio. You're gonna have to buy external attachments a lot, such as handles or, you know, cages to, if you want to mount certain things, such as a monitor or another Rode mic or whatever it be. Now on to the cinema cameras and their pros and their advantages. First off, one big one for me is the built-in ND filter. I didn't really start understanding the importance of an ND filter until about a year or two ago. Basically what an ND filter is, it's kind of, essentially to dumb it down, is a sunglass for your camera, lens or sensor, and it is going to take away some of that light when you're shooting in broad daylight or very bright conditions. So you don't have to jack your shutter speed or your ISO up to, you know, 1/8000 or f/22. No one likes to shoot in those, on those types of settings. It's just not ideal and your footage is gonna look strange. So that's what an ND filter kind of does to prevent. And in turn, kind of going hand in hand, cinema cameras usually have a better dynamic range. And if you are unfamiliar with what dynamic range is, by definition, it is the range in which a camera can capture the brightest and darkest areas of an image without the loss of details. So if you've ever been shooting on your iPhone a picture and the sky is very blown out whenever like a face is exposed, that's kind of, that won't happen as much on a cinema camera. The dynamic range is going to be better. You won't have as many blown out clouds or underexposed shadows. Let me show you an example here. This is Brave Celebrations in broad daylight, and the Braves jerseys are obviously white. This is a really hard condition, harsh lighting to shoot in, and to me it looks pretty good considering the jerseys are white. Next, there are more inputs and customization options, such as, you know, audio inputs or monitors, things like that. Usually on cinema cameras you can record 2+ channels of audio, which is a big positive for people if you're micing stuff up. You can obviously mount monitors, multiple different things. It's just gonna be a lot easier. There's gonna be, you know, more hot shoes or built-in pegs where you can kind of insert your monitor. And another thing a cinema camera does well is the battery life is usually a lot better. You can get 2, 3, 4 hours on cinema cameras. And I'm sure there are battery packs that do more on more higher end cameras, but generally speaking, they outlast mirrorless cameras. I know Sony has been getting really good at battery life, relatively speaking, in recent years compared to past, but cinema cameras far outlast mirrorless right now. And another thing specific to me, another pro that I like, is pre-record. And if you don't know what pre-record is, it's a little bit of a trippy kind of thing to think about, but pre-record is when you hit record, it records everything 3 seconds before or 10 seconds before you hit the button. That is good for sports such as baseball, so I'm not hitting record when there's just a normal pitch and no swing. I'm not having to cycle through 400 videos. Instead, it's just 200 videos. And some cons for cinema cameras. They're gonna be big, clunky a lot of the times. That is probably the big drawback for me. It's going to be hard to lug around. It's gonna take a couple seconds to turn on. All these things are things you need to factor in, and it depends on what type of content you're shooting, if it benefits you, and if you're willing to take that trade-off. Another one is, of course, file sizes. File sizes on certain cinema cameras can get very large. The cards are obviously adds a price too. CFast cards, they're very expensive. They're gonna be a lot faster, but they're gonna be very expensive and bring a lot more file size for, you know, very little benefit for the most part. But these are all things to consider on your situation. I just wanted to kind of go through these for this video so you guys and gals can understand how to compare and contrast these two types of cameras. It is a Friday night and I am going to Anytime Fitness to get some I'm working. I haven't lifted in like 4 days, so. Dang, look at this sunset. It's a good way to end the old video. For me, personally, and everything is a personal choice in this industry, how you edit, how you film, how you shoot, what story you want to tell, everything's your own choice. It's important to reiterate that. For me, I'm going to continue to use my cinema cameras and the things that MLB provides me with, just because I believe what I want to do right now and the stories that I want to tell, those, like that camera and that rig is what I want to use, and it tells the story best. But to each his own. And like, I think mirrorless cameras will always have a place in this world, obviously, for run and gun, YouTube format, social video in particular. I will always use one. You're watching this video right now on a mirrorless camera. NBA squads, NFL film teams, everyone uses cinema cameras now for the most part. And I think there's always that push for more as any industries evolve. And I think it's important to try and stay ahead of the curve in the best way possible. And finally, to conclude this video, I get DMs from kids all the time, you know, that are 16, 17 years old. And these kids are just 10 times more talented than what I was at their age. And that's just mainly because these cameras, that like the technology you're watching this YouTube video on, have been around now, you know, since those kids were 12 years old. And they've evolved and developed their skills from such a young age that, you know, the bar has been raised. And I think it's important to keep growing, learn new rigs, new systems, new editing techniques in any way possible. And this is just another one of those examples, or at least that's how I view it. It's a new skill, and that's in any career, in any profession. It's always important to stay ahead of the curve, like I said, and learn new skills. The mirrorless versus cinema debate, there's no right answer. For me, I like using the cinema cameras for shooting sports right now. That might change, it might not. And then I like using mirrorless for social videos and messing around with my friends. They're both good, they both have their trade-offs, they both have their pros and cons. I hope you guys got some value out of this video, and make sure you like and subscribe, and I will see y'all in the next one.